With Elation coming up, I'm sure a lot of people are wondering if they should actually get into the meta itself, and today I'm going to be talking about just that. This video is going to cover first what you need to know about Elation, how Elation is going to start slow and then will ramp up, and then finally if you, the viewer, should get into the Elation meta at all. But before we get into it, here's something that you people that do spend money on the game should know. Stuck grinding in Honkai Star Rail? Need Stellar Jades fast? We've got you covered. Head over to U7 Buy, your ultimate gaming hub for save fast and cheap in-game top-ups. Whether it's Star Rail or your other favorite games, U7 delivers instantly and players love it. Check out their Trustpilot reviews, they're actually top ranked. On the Honkai Star Rail direct top-up page, you can recharge your account in seconds. For example, 8080 Honorific shards cost $99.99 in the official store, but on U7 Buy, you can see here it's way cheaper. Just pick your server, enter UID, pay securely, and boom, your account is instantly loaded. Want extra savings? Use code PRETSR at checkout for 5% off, perfect for last minute pulls, battle passes, or surprising a friend. And here's a bonus. If you spend $80 a month on U7 Buy, you can grab the Honkai Star Rail Express Pass for only 1 cent, which is nearly free. Click on the link in my description, recharge fast, save more, and keep blazing those trails. So first, the things you need to know about Elation. Some obvious, some less obvious, but the most obvious one is it's going to be a brand new path that is going to bring a brand new playstyle. Similar to how Remembrance did bring out the Memo sprites and such, we did have a similar form being summons from characters like Jingwan, Topaz, Linksha, but in this way it functioned as an additional teammate instead. That's what Memo sprites are. Some of them are unique, they stay on the field for as long as you want them to, or practically permanently for the best effect of their kits, such as Aglia and Hyacinth, and some have ways where you resummon them over and over again, such as Castris and Evernight. Elation is bringing a brand new mechanic, and it comes with a lot of stuff that you need to know about, such as Punchline, Aha Instant, Elation Skill, and especially Elation Damage. I have a full guide on Elation that you could check out if you want to know everything in depth, but to briefly cover on it, all the new stuff is going to be Punchline, which increases Elation damage overall, done in the Aha Instant. Aha Instant itself is where the Elation skills will proc. Elation Damage is a brand new damage formula that unfortunately does not get impacted with damage buffs, so damage dealt increases don't affect it. So the only ways to affect it is Vulnerability, Alt-Type Res Pen, Alt-Type Res Lower, Defense Shred, Defense Ignore, Crit, and those would be the main ones. It's safe to assume every Elation character is going to tie into this directly, and in every Aha Instant, every Elation character will launch their Elation skill, which all do different things. For example, Yao Guang's is an attack that also will make enemies take increased damage, while someone like Sparxie's is also a damage-based one that also gives her a stack of Thrill, which she can use to offset skill point consumption. Future characters are going to have their own unique ones, and they'll all do different things. Some might come in the future and do pure damage and not really provide anything else besides their own kits, similar to Sparxie's, while others might also provide even more damage, maybe in the forms of other things instead of just vulnerabilities such as Defense Shred, or maybe even in the future, Elation skills will be able to provide buffs to the team, which can increase stuff like stats and Alt-Type Res Pen. That's the gist of what you do need to know about Elation specifically. It does bring a lot of new things to the table and a new unique playstyle, but the downside of it is unfortunately it does cut off a lot of options, as Elation damage also doesn't get impacted by attack, so a lot of existing characters in the game's current buffs are actually not going to work on these characters, since a good chunk of characters do have damage dealt buffs, have attack buffs. Unfortunately, those will not work. The only ones that completely synergize with Elation characters so far is Tribi and Cypher. Future Elation characters can be similar to Sparxie, where a stack can be converted into Elation. Yao Guang has it too, but it's speed, so it's a bit harder to get, but Yao Guang can convert speed into Elation, while Sparxie can convert attack into Elation. Both of them have a cap. Yao Guang's, you're not really going to hit the cap, it's very high of 320, while Sparxie needs 3600 to fully cap the Elation damage conversion. Now that you know all that, let's talk about the next part of this video, which is how Elation will start slow and ramp up. As we know in the 4.0 update, we're only going to be getting the start of the actual meta itself, being Yao Guang and Sparxie. Because of this, they both will be on a team together, and the team will not be complete until they have 4 synergistic characters. Or when it comes to main DPS Sparxie, there is a chance where it's only 3, but nonetheless, the whole power of the team is not going to be fully available from the get-go. If you want a similar example, think when Castris released. While she was a strong, usable option, she didn't really get the jump that she needed to be as strong as she is now until later on when more characters got released. Castris released, then later on we got Hyacinth, later on we got Evernight, and then finally we had Cyrene. In this case, it's going to be a thing like that as well, just because when the characters do release, we're going to have a team of Sparxie and Yao Guang, and the Elation skills are only going to proc their stuff. In the future, there's going to be a third Elation character that will go on the team, and that will proc a whole other Elation skill, and if it's a buff, that's that's going to make the characters that do the damage, in this case Yaguang and mainly Sparksy, it will enable them to do more damage, or even if it's a debuff in a sense. And if it's another attack that does solid damage similarly to Sparksy's, then it's still going to add up to a lot of damage. So as we are starting, the team is not going to be at full potential, and in the future, once there's another Elation buffer specifically, and or an Elation sustain on the team, or potentially a full separate team that maybe not consists of Yaguang or Sparksy specifically, this still would relate to time. Later on, there could potentially be a chance where it's going to be a 4-character Elation team, and even if these characters are not on the team, it's still going to take time to fully build. For an example, let's say we're going into 4.0 with these characters, and then in 4.1 we maybe not get an Elation character. Of course, I'm just saying this is a hypothetical. And then 4.2 rolls around, let's say this is an anniversary patch and they release the main DPS of Elation. If there is a chance where she wouldn't end up actually functioning with these characters perfectly, maybe use them as a substitute instead. Later on, as more Elation characters release that are maybe tailored towards the main DPS character of the anniversary, in that case, it's going to be a constant ramp up to getting bigger damage. Maybe you start with these 3 Elation characters, it's the Annie DPS, then Sparksy and Yaguang. Maybe after the anniversary character, they release the Elation sustain, which is going to fill that slot and maybe be the best in slot sustain for the team. Then later on, potentially they release a sub DPS that might boot out Sparksy, and then after all, they might release another character that replaces Yaguang. Again, I want to emphasize this is a complete hypothetical sense. In every case and form, whether it be Yaguang and Sparksy on a team, whether them be not on a team or get replaced later, it's going to be something that ramps up with time. Elation, similarly to Remembrance, is going to need more time to ramp up and get as strong as it could be in the future. So if you are going into the meta, do not expect it to have the highest stats right from the get-go, as it's going to be missing Elation characters that are synergistic with each other and are going to be at the mercy of mainly running an existing buffer that isn't necessarily tailored towards them. It just happens to be that their buff/debuffs works for them, in this case again Tribby and Cypher. And then they also won't have the last slot for the sustain either. So for sustained runs, you're mainly going to have to run someone like Danhang or whatever option you have available that isn't going to be completely synergistic with the team either. For Sparksy team specifically, you'd be running Sparkle and then sustain, so that would be another thing to consider. But nonetheless, you would just be considering the fact that the team is going to take time to ramp up, and the more time we go into Elation meta and the more characters released, the stronger the team will become. And now that brings us to the point, should you, the viewer, actually get into this Elation meta? I have a whole video talking about why free-to-play should do a specific strategy, but TLDR, one of the best things you can do to guarantee a full half clear for your account is save for the anniversary character and build a team around them. This has been effective for every single version. When Akron released, if you built a team around her at free-to-play level, or even just like a solid level, she would be able to destroy content for you. Then as you built the team around Castro, she was able to do the same, and it is probably going to be the same for the main Elation DPS. So if you are on the side where you maybe not have too many options and you're kind of going from hype character to hype character that's mainly shield, Elation is going to be a meta you want to get into, because for the entirety of 4.x, it's going to be the main focus on path. So similarly to how Remembrance got all this buffs for the team and also all the shield in extra buffs from like Pure Fiction, Apocalyptic Shadow, and also something like Anomaly, it's going to be the same thing with the Elation meta in 4.x. Practically every little bit is going to have something to help Elation significantly, and also more characters releasing constantly to help the team, whether that be a brand new team for the anniversary character or the anniversary character existing with characters like Yaguang and Sparksy. So if you're someone that has to kind of live off those characters, then of course you should continue to do that, as it's going to give you the best chance to have a full-sided clear, as that's kind of the best quote-unquote way to go when it comes to focusing on full clears in endgame mode at the highest level, to at least get the characters of the main shield character being the anniversary character and their light cone. So saving up for currency would be a good thing you can do. So in that case, someone like that would indeed want to get into the Elation meta. Now maybe you're someone that can clear endgame, but you're a little afraid that maybe your team is not going to hold up too much, or maybe you're starting to not hold up too much either. In that case, it does actually tie into the same reasoning I did mention before. You would also really fall into that, and it would be best to invest in the Elation meta, just so you do have that half that is able to comfortably clear, as it's going to be the main focus. And then a big reason would be, of course, if you like the characters of Elation, that's going to be a big drive for a lot of people to summon. So if you are really liking the Elation characters, of course, just save your Jades and pull for those characters you do like, as Elation characters are going to be, again, mainly shield. So you will have a little bit more freedom when it comes to that, as opposed to some rerun characters which won't be getting the main focus anymore. And then for a brief talking about reasons why you shouldn't get into the meta at all, this is very specific to more high invested / vertical investment investment accounts. If you're someone that has like a really high invested in Remembrance team, like maybe like E1s to E2s, like let's say maybe E2 Castrus, E1 Evernight, and then you just happen to have highest seeding Cyrene, maybe with their Lycons or not, mainly highest seeding the Lycon sets there, that team is so ungodly powerful that it's probably going to just have no problems going into the 4.x, even when there's not buffs fully tailored towards it. The team is just so inherently powerful that I definitely can see a well invested in team being able to clear the entirety of a 4.x. So if you have a very high invested in stronger sided team on your account, and this would mainly be for both halves, because of course if you have maybe one side that's super invested and the other half isn't and it's struggling a lot more, then of course for that side you would go into Elation specifically. But again, let's say you have a very high invested in Remembrance team, and then maybe on the other side you have a high invested in, I don't know, Finon team specifically, with again E2s, E1s, all that stuff. Those teams are just so inherently powerful if you do have the correct investment. And of course the higher up you go, the better it'll be. Like if you have the whole team full of E2s, it becomes a lot more apparent. Maybe if you have one E6 in there, then it becomes significantly more apparent. If you're just someone that has super high investment on two-sided teams, or I guess three if you want to consider Anomaly, but I'm not really considering Anomaly as it's not really the main focus of endgame rewards, that would be someone that could actually safely skip the meta, as for the most part the teams are so inherently strong that with the right investment, and I cannot stress this enough, the right investment, which is solid investment to E1s and E2s on the characters, would be able to clear, just because characters like a high invested in Phase Out team and a high invested in Akron team were actually able to clear the entirety of 3.x. It's going to be similar. The entirety of 3.x characters are also going to be able to do that for 4.x and maybe even further, just because of how inherently strong the characters are. So if you are someone that has super high investment on those teams, then you would be someone that has a lot less need for it, as you're most likely already comfortably clearing endgame, and probably at a significant level at that. Like you're probably getting 0 to 1 cycle on MLC, you're getting full clear purification, you're probably getting over 7,000 points at APOC, no problem. Those would be the kind of people that should just really not focus on Elation too much. Of course, if you want to, that's obviously a different story, and if you want to, you wouldn't really be watching this video. But if you are in that case, then you don't really have to worry about Elation as much. That does bring this video to a close, talking about reasons why you should get into Elation or not, mainly going over reasons what you should know about Elation specifically and how it starts slow to ramp up, and then finally the reasons themselves. This video is mainly for people who are a little bit torn in between. If you've made up your mind, you probably have no point for this video specifically, or maybe you've made up your mind but you just want to get a second opinion. That's kind of what this video is for. I do hope you found this video helpful. If you did, dropping a like would be greatly appreciated. If you're new to the channel or haven't done so already, be sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon for future videos like this, along with all other types of style content. Check the description to join the Discord, and I'll see you later. Peace out.